Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while. It is the 18th of January and I don't remember if I've done a video in January. I might have done one right at the beginning. That's about it so far. So, how is January going for you? For me, reading plans are not really corresponding very well to what I'm actually reading yet. Not in a bad way. I've finished a lot of books, just not the ones that were on my list of books I was going to try and finish. So I've been reading. It's been good. But not a lot of print books. My Read What You Own challenge thing, not working. Not yet anyway. Yeah. So, I have been reading books in print. I haven't been finishing as many as I was planning to. In part because I got sucked in by some series. So, I was reading the Louise Penny series in December. I had the first 4 books from my friend. I gave her back the 3 that were not offensive. And then I kept reading the series. And at this point, I am up to the one that came out this last year, which is book 19. I think it's the Gray Wolf, and then the next one is the Black Wolf, or vice versa. Anyway, there is another one coming out in 2025. I've not noticed it on NetGalley, so I don't know if it's on there. But I'll probably just, listen to it when it comes out in audio from my library. Because that's what I've been doing for the entire series. So, probably not one I'm going to listen to or read early. But I'm caught up. I'm on hold for the one that came out in 2024. It's actually one of the books that I can get through it's like a fast tracks or fast checkout sort of thing. Where you don't get them for as long, but they don't count for your monthly checkouts. So that's nice. So I will be finishing the series this month, because the other person can't possibly have it for more than 2 weeks. So yeah, that's nice. I will basically be caught up with the series by the end of the month that I was not anywhere close to being caught up with at the beginning of the month. This is accomplishment. I also got sucked into a little bit more of Alexander McCall Smith's books. The Number One Ladies Detective Agency series. I didn't get as far into that one. I do have the next 3 books stacked up to read, but I haven't gotten to them yet. Partly I've been running out of checkouts from the library for audiobooks, so I might actually have to use my eyeballs for some of them, which is annoying. Because, I've been listening to these series while doing other things, like crocheting. I've been finishing a ton of books, just not books I was supposed to be finishing. And I have been trying to finish some of the audiobooks that I checked out from the library as well. So I finished Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera yesterday, actually. I finished, let's see, what else that's not those 2 authors? Oh, I did get into Simon Beckett for 3 books. And I got through the end of the 3rd book, and it was only 3 stars. And the things that were annoying me about the first 2 books just got worse, so I am done with that one. That's the David Hunter series. And yeah, I'm not sure what it was for me, but I didn't enjoy them. It might have been the pacing, it might have been just that they were really obvious puzzles or something like that. But I know it wasn't very successful. I also, I got to Simon Beckett because I was doing Simon Brett, and I came across one on YouTube, and so, of course, YouTube offered me Simon Beckett when I ran out of Simon Brett. Yeah. So, I will be getting back to Simon Brett because I have the arc of his new book that I need to finish from the Feathering series. I was trying to find all the books in between where I left off and the current Feathering book, but I don't have enough checkouts through the library to do it. So I'm close. The one I listened to last was Guns in the Gallery by Simon Brett. Feathering number 13. So I'm not that far off, but I am. It's sad. I did reread or re-listen to most of that series because it's been a while. So that's some of my numbers. And then I did one Jonathan Kellerman. I do remember talking about at the beginning of the month, or for my TBR for this month, that I was going to be trying to read something by Kellerman, so I did. I read The Ghost Orchid by Jonathan Kellerman. That is book 39 in the Alex Delaware series. I am not caught up on the series, I just wanted to try it. I think I've finished 2 other books in that series, but definitely not in order. I did not feel lost, but I will try to read them in order at some point. I also, let's see, I think Orbital was the first one I finished. Wow, so it's been mostly Louise Penny, Simon Brett, and Alexander McCall Smith. And the one I just finished is Some Murders in Berlin by Karen Robards. Yes, I did remember it correctly. So I did finish that one. I checked out a few audiobooks that were mentioned or featured in the Goodreads Choice Awards for murder mysteries in particular. So there's some that are not really on my TBR, but kind of are just because of that. I haven't formally said I'm going to read all the ones that were nominated, but I probably should, actually, because I should just finish all the ones that were nominated for the 2024 Goodreads Choice Awards for the Murder Mysteries and Thrillers category. So that now it's official. That's something I'm working on. So the books that I've been checking out that are in that category, it's not just me getting distracted. I'm doing something I'm supposed to. Right? Okay. So you heard it here first. It's official now. The other thing I wanted to show off, since I don't have a lot of books in print to show off yet, so far I only have like 1 book in print that I've finished this month, which is really sad. But I was going to show you guys the books that I've selected for my free book every 6 hours of volunteering at the bookstore selections, because those are kind of fun. And then the books that I'm currently reading that hopefully will be in the next video as books I've finished. That's the goal, anyway. So the book that I brought home this week as my free book for my 6 hours was The Mystery of Time. This one is by Kellyanne Bradley. This is a book that's been talked about on BookTube enough that I know that I want to read it, but I've tried to not know more than that. And I'm going to try to still not know more than that until I read the book. which means I'll probably try to read it in February if it fits a prompt for the Get a Clue readathon, which I am joining in on. I'm in Team Colonel Mustard. So, most of my books will be yellow. This one obviously is not. It has yellow on the cover, but not enough for me to say it's a yellow book. But I will be reading this hopefully in February. The book I brought home last week is pretty. It's one that I've read before, not in this edition, and I haven't read the Phantasmagoria and Other Poems. I don't remember if I read The Hunting of the Snark. I might have. But this is a really nice leather-bound, gilt-edged copy of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass and some other stuff. And yes, I did need this book, even though I've already read it. It is illustrated. It's beautiful. It's not just leather bound. It's like got that padding that makes it nice and squishy. So yeah, I don't care that much about fancy books, but some books that I plan to keep for a long time, it's kind of nice if I can get them like this. And I could never have afforded this nice a book, but it was available. And yeah, this is my free book from last week. Do I need to read it again? Probably not this year. It's just going on my permanent shelf. And I have The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. I started it, but I haven't gotten very far into it. I know nothing about it beyond the first 2 pages, but it's just a very pretty book. It's shiny. So I will probably try to finish this book in January because I did start it while I was at the bookstore. Then I have the 2 volumes in one, The Hidden Louisa May Alcott, a collection of her unknown thrillers. This one I got in December, and that is an exciting book. Because if you liked The Long Fatal Love Chase, she wrote more. Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. It has Behind a Mask, or A Woman's Power, Pauline's Passion and Punishment, The Mysterious Key and What It Opened, The Abbot's Ghost, or Maurice Treherne's Temptations, VV, or Plots and Counterplots, A Marble Woman, or The Mysterious Model, The Skeleton in the Closet, A Whisper in the Dark, and Perilous Play. So I don't know when I'm going to read it, but I will get to it. It has less than 600 pages, so it's not a chunky book, unfortunately, but I will make it fit somewhere in some readathon this year. I also got a copy of To the Bright Edge of the World by Ewan Ivey. I have her newest one as an ARC that I need to get to. So I figure I'm going to read this one and the new one. And I think we have there's one more, or at least one more that I haven't read yet. I read The Snow Child. So I might get the other one for one of my other free books in the near future so that I can read all of them that have been published so far. And then the last book, let's see how many pages this one is. It's still not over 800 pages. But this is one that Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction Nicole has been talking about last year and recommended me to read. So I got a copy. This is Drood by Dan Simmons. And when I finish The Mystery of Edwin Drood, I will start this book. I did not finish that book, though, in December. I didn't even really get it started very well. I found the audiobook and listened to the first 30 minutes. So I will restart it for some prompt for a readathon, hopefully in the next 2 months or so that I can get this book started. So that's the books I got for free. And then there's the books that I am currently reading. As in, I've been reading them in the last 2 days. And I'm intending to finish them in the next few days. The first one is actually a textbook, so it's kind of a reread. But I don't think I ever read it cover to cover as a book to count. So this is my mammalogy textbook, study of mammals, which I've gotten a chapter into. So I'm going to read it and then hand it off to my sister if she wants to read it, and then donate it somewhere, because I don't really need it anymore. I'm also reading The Man Who Loved Only Numbers by Paul Hoffman. This is about Paul Erdős, who is a mathematician from Hungary? I don't remember. Anyway, somewhere Europe, Eastern Europe-ish. But yeah, it's a book about a mathematician who is very eccentric. Possibly autistic, but of course it's hard to diagnose anyone based on a biography after they're already dead. So, but he sure sounds like an autistic person to me. So, interesting person in any case, and I wish my brain did numbers the way this guy does numbers, although he seems almost non-functional in everything else because of it. So, fun book so far. I'll let you know if it's something that you will be interested in if you're not into math or mathematicians. But it might be something that general readers not interested in math would find interesting. If you're interested in psychology, you'll probably really like this book. This is one that was a carryover from December. This is Ready for a Brand New Beat by Mark Kurlansky. I think it still counts as a microhistory. It's focusing on a particular time period and a particular social dynamic within that time period as kind of a narrow but generalizable story of the times. But this is one where the gray area comes in and what is a microhistory. We've been discussing this in the bookstore for where to shelve books like this. Probably it's just going in general non-fiction history, because I'm not sure that I could make the argument that it's actually microhistory. Most of Kurlansky's books that I've read are microhistory, though. Alright, here's the one I actually finished that's in print. Ta-da! Yeah, so that is book 8 in the Number One Ladies Detective Agency. And then I have The Buffalo Soldiers by William H. Leckie. This is a reprint of a book from the 50s. So it uses an N-word in it. Not in an offensive way. That's the term that was used in the 50s when writing about the Buffalo Soldiers sort of way. But if you are really sensitive to archaic uses of words that are offensive now, it may be offensive, but it reads like that's just the terminology of the times. So it's one that I am reading before we put it out on the shelf to make sure that it's something we want to put out on the shelf. But so far it's really interesting. It's about 2 units of all black soldiers that were formed during the Civil War and that became major players in the Indian War after the Civil War. Um, so it reads like a Louis L'Amour story, only true story and more history. So far, it's really good. And I'm still working on finishing this book, which I've been working on reading all month. The Untold Story of the Talking Book, which is a history of audiobooks. It's really good. I just keep getting distracted by murder mysteries. So, that's what I'm reading. That's what I've been acquiring. I've been acquiring other books. I'm not going to do a here's everything I acquire every time I acquire books. Because I rescue books off of the recycling shelf and like the reject shelves from the bookstore. Yeah, it's one of those stores where we only have so much space on the shelves. And I have to admit, some of the books that we get donated are not going to sell. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't be desirable in a little free library. And my tolerance for books that I'm reading being rough is a bit higher than the bookstore standard. So I rescue books quite often that will not be sold at the bookstore, so they don't get recycled. And I have been taking books around to little free libraries. But there's also quite a few that I've rescued that I'm going to read or that I've passed on to friends. So there's a lot of books that I'm not showing that I've been acquiring, but I'm comfortable with the numbers. So far. But I will admit that I'm slightly embarrassed that my print books that I've finished this month is still only one book. It may be two, because I think one of the other Alexander McCall Smith books is on my shelf somewhere. I'm just not sure where it is now. So, yeah. If I find it, then there's two whole books that I've finished that I have in print. But anyway, that's my month so far. I've been working on crochet. If you've been doing temperature blankets and crochet in the past, you might recognize the format that I'm doing now. I'm doing the high in the middle and the low in the outer edge. 1 square per day, and then putting them together. And I'm going to do the calendar layout so that like the remaining squares to make up an actual rectangle will just be solid squares of, something that's not coded. I've only finished that many so far. I've got lots of centers, but I need to do the lows on all of those. Partly I keep having to move my yarn around. We've had workmen in doing plumbing and fixing the heating and stuff like that. And every time I move my yarn, I misplace at least one of the colors I need for my temperature blanket. So, yeah. I think I found them all again, so I'm going to work on it tonight. I may actually start another audiobook. Probably The Demons of Unrest by Eric Larson, which is not a book I have in print, but it is a book that we have on the shelves at the bookstore. So one of our projects is that we're trying to read some of the books that we have in our section at the bookstore so that we can have a staff recommendations shelf and actually have books on it. So actually I've got 5 books here that I've brought home for that project that are going back once I've read them, with blurbs on them if I feel like they need it. I have one that's like Baghdad in a Day or something like that. It's a history and travel book about Baghdad from the 50s or 60s. I don't remember. But it doesn't have a dust jacket. It doesn't look as exciting as it might actually turn out to be. It looked interesting to me, so I'll probably write a blurb on that one. And yeah, things like that. So that's something that's added to my TBR now. And I just picked up the letter M in general adult fiction. So I will probably be doing some of that with the letter M as well, so that I know what I'm featuring. Maybe not bringing things home and bringing them back so much, some of that, depending. But certainly reading more books by authors starting with M, including probably Fern Michaels thrillers, because I am curious. I've read Fern Michaels' romances, the Lady Pirates. Lady Pirates and Dutch East India Tea Company. So I read those, and I liked them. I'm not really a romance reader, but they were fun. So I'm curious about what she's done with thrillers. And I did notice that there is a Fern Michaels thriller that was on NetGalley. So, yeah, now that that's my section, I might end up reading that. Although it might still be one of those that goes on a prompt for a book you've been reluctant to start or something like that. Because I'm still not a romance reader, and I know that J.D. Robb is still very much romance genre when it gets to the steamy bits. So, yeah. We'll see how it goes. Expect more videos. Hopefully we've got everything more or less repaired. I've been trying to get to where I can record out in my living room spot during daylight hours, but with all the work going on, it just has not happened. So for now, this is gonna have to be it until I can get a daylight hours filming where I don't get interrupted. So we'll see. I'm hoping I'll be back in my daytime spot by the next video. So fingers crossed. We're due for a winter storm, so we are holed up and just staying home and reading books for the next 3 days-ish. So I might actually finish some of the books that theoretically I'm supposed to be reading. Yeah. And certainly I'll finish the next audiobook because I need to get this temperature blanket going. Anyway, that's me so far this year. Let me know how you are doing. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys!